In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple wall using IfcOpenShell WebAssembly. We will be using some Python, JavaScript, HTML, and a dash of CSS. I won't be explaining the complete basics of these technologies in this video because I want to focus on IfcOpenShell WebAssembly. However, if you would like me to create content showing how Python, JavaScript, HTML, and other programming languages can be used with OpenBIM, please leave a comment below. If you would like to follow along and play with the code, you can find the example here on GitHub, link in the description below. Here, I have the example open in Visual Studio Code. First, let's look at the final result and then we will explain the different parts. Using the live server extension for VS Code, I will launch this page. It will take a few seconds to load everything. Once the page is loaded, we click the Generate Basic Wall button and voila! A simple basic wall. But where's my AI-generated super automatic BIM model, you ask? Well, baby steps. We have to start somewhere. Okay, let's take a look at what's happening behind the scenes to make this all happen. If you've never seen HTML source code before, this may seem intimidating. But let's look at the most relevant parts in bite-sized chunks. At the top of the document, we find a tag which contains a link tag that points to style.css. This is simply loading our CSS file, which is over here, which styles our page. We can basically ignore this for the purpose of this video, but just know that it's there. The next major tag is the body tag, which contains the rest of the page. Now, if you're a professional programmer and you're cringing while looking at this code, we could really use your help. Feel free to submit pull request to the GitHub repo. Anyways, back to the code. We will skip down to the script tags. This one here is loading a library called Pyodide, which allows you to run Python code inside the browser. Pretty neat. This next one here is loading the 3JS library, which we use to show stuff in 3D in the browser. If we skip ahead a little to the more interesting bits, we find the main function. It first loads and initializes Pyodide, and then loads IfcOpenShell as a Python package, right here. Then we define a function that is bound to the onClick event of the only button on our page. This is where things get really interesting. On line 51, we run a Python file called createBasicWall. Let's jump into that file. This is a pure Python file. Again, it's running in the browser thanks to Pyodide. Here we can use IfcOpenShell using its Python interface to create a simple wall. Each line is commented, but essentially we create all the basic elements an IFC model needs, including a project, site, building, story, etc. We add a wall to it, and at the very end return the model variable, which in this case is an IFC file. Let's go back to our HTML. Back here in JavaScript, we grab the model that was returned and generate mesh geometry we can load into 3JS. That's basically what the rest of the code does. So what do you think? Could we build our own open source browser-based BIM modeler using this technology? In the next video, we will dive even deeper into an example of interactively drawing IFC walls in the browser.